let me start by showing you the end goal, what we're going to get to. If we have something, this, by the way, is completing the square.
What is a square?
It's what you did Friday was complete the square. You made it into a perfect square trinomial.
Oh.
You know where you found that good C? Okay, so I want you to think about something. If we're solving...
You heard it?
What? All right. If we're solving this, you see x written only one time, yes? So if you ever see x written one time and you're trying to solve, what can you do to get x by itself? Come on, guys, you know this. SAD map, every time, okay?
SAD map.
This is an easy solve. If we FOILed this out and then we tried to factor and solve it, that's a lot of work, okay? But if it already looks like this and I only see one x, I can SAD map my way out by doing what first? How do you get rid of the, take the square root, right? So I have x plus 2. What's the square root of 36?
6.
Plus or minus 6, right?
You gotta subtract 2 of these sides.
And then we subtract 2. Now, we've already done this, but they were set up like this for us.
Hold up.
Okay. That what this means is, this means that x could be negative 2 plus 6 or negative 2 minus 6, right? 4 or negative 8. Those are my two solutions. Remember when we did this, we did a section solving with radicals? Yes? No? Okay. Yes. Or you can split it up. Now, what if my equation looked like... Let's say it looks like this, okay? Do you notice we can't square root it like it sits because there's two x's. But look at, what about the ends?
They can be square rooted.
They're perfect squares. Okay, but you got to write it a different way is what I'm getting at.
Oh.
Before you square root it. What different way would you write it? You don't have any like terms right now.
Minus, I don't know.
All right, this is a perfect square trinomial. Remember we talked about this Friday? If the ends are perfect squares, the second sign is a plus, and if you take the ends, the square roots of them, multiply them together and double it, you get what's in the middle.
Right.
Okay? What? This is this sheet that I gave you Friday.
Yeah, that's long one. I don't have that.
Friday, it's Monday. So now it's set back up the way it was. I'm looking, Bryce. Just
my deal is where'd you get the square from? Minus 6x.
We're not right now. We're not. We're just going to. You do have it. It's right there.
Yeah, look at it. Jesus, look.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to set us up to complete the square. We're not doing it yet. I want you to see why before I show you how. So now I'm back to what I did in the beginning where I square root, right? Yes.
Yes, you are.
And now that I have the square root of 27, I need to break that apart. Remember how we simplified radicals?
Yeah, you do.
With what?
3 and 9.
3 and 9. So I got square root of 9 and square root of 3. And then subtract the 3. Now, what we're going to do today...
Hey, why is it on the 3 not squared?
What 3?
That 3.
What?
Why is what 3 not squared?
The 3 was squared.
This one?
No, the 3 was squared at the top.
This.
Yes.
Because when you factor it, you do the square root of the first, the square root of the last, and you put a squared outside.
But why is it in it? To the second. Why
That's
is it
if
this
you
time
put
30?
if you put it in the box. What multiplies to 9 but adds to 6? 3 and 3, right? If I went up, I'd get x. Up, I'd get 3. Over, I'd get x. Over, I'd get 3.
Yep.
So that would be x plus 3, x plus 3, which is the same thing as saying x plus 3 squared.
Alright, that makes sense.
It's just a pattern, so that always works. Sometimes these numbers get really big and it's
Yeah.
easier just to pick up on that pattern. All right. No, you don't have to. He didn't understand where the x plus 3 came from. I was just showing him another way. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, and I'm going to use the example that's on here already. We're going to take a quadratic. I'm going to use the x squared minus 10x plus 9 equals 0. And we're asked to solve by completing the square, okay? And your steps are on here. And if you forgot what a perfect square trinomial is, there's a little blurb at the top that tells you the pattern, and it says the first term's a perfect square, this middle term is, the third term's a perfect square, and then the middle term is where if you do square, square, multiply them and double.
They don't meet it though.
All right, this one doesn't meet it. You're absolutely right, and that's what you have to do. So you want to first check to see if it meets it. And Brady says, no, that does not meet it, and he's right. Do you see why?
Yeah.
These are both perfect squares, right?
3x and then 3x doubled is not 10x.
Exactly. So it fails. It's not a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to go on to step 2. If you do not have a perfect square trinomial,
D minus 9 on each side.
yes.
Oh, look.
This is what's keeping us from having a perfect square trinomial, right? This is a bad C. Because it's bad, I'm going to move it. The only way to move it is subtract it. Now, when you move it, what's left on the left
X squared minus 10 is negative 9.
equals, notice I'm leaving some space here because what I'm going to do, remember we found that C in our homework, what value makes it a perfect square? I'm going to leave some space here because I'm going to add it in just a second.
Oh.
Okay? Notice step 3, if there's an A other than 1, you have to divide everything by A at this point, okay? This one's 1, so we're good to go. We'll do one a little bit harder that does have an A in just a minute. All right, step 4. We got the 2 blanks because we're going to find that good C.
Good.
Think back to your homework Friday night and what we did in class. How do we find a good C? Divide by 2. Take the 10 in the middle, divide by 2, and square. All right?
I didn't do that.
You did do it Friday because you were talking about how easy it was.
I didn't
You just
do
forgot.
that method how you do it.
Oh, what'd you do?
I just divided.
That good C is 25.
Did you get 25 though?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's 25, you're right. Okay? So what you want to do, I need a 25 to be here.
Plug it in.
Plug it in those blanks. Because it's an equation, I have to put it on both sides. It can't just go on one. So I have to also put it over here. Is anybody confused at this point? Everybody okay?
No, see, my homework don't look like that.
Your homework wouldn't look like this. We didn't go this far with it. Your homework, you only found the good C. You just did this part.
Yeah, but at the end of it, in the back of the book, it gave you what C was, and then you put it in parentheses and X. And then
Yeah, and we're fixing to do that. We're fixing to do that. All right. At this point, we're okay. I hope that spending a day on what we did Friday is going to help this make this a little easier. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to factor the left side. Okay. So now here, Bryce, this is what you're talking about where you put it in parentheses. So what does this become?
That'd be
X minus 5 squared, right? Everybody sees where that came from. What's negative 9 plus 25? 16. Does this look like something you can solve now? Yes, it looks just like what we started. We got to solve. The point of it is that we find out what x equals. Square root it, absolutely.
4.
Plus or minus 4. And what do we do? Add 5.
Plus or minus 9.
No.
Well, the 4 is plus or minus, so it's 5 plus or minus 4, which means it could be 5 plus 4 or 5 minus 4. So 9 or 1. That's the answer.
So I need to do all them steps.
No, it's okay.
All them steps, and then I did last night, and then just
The only new thing is you're adding that new thing over here, and then you're solving from what you did last night. You can leave it like this if you want to. Let's do another one. Let's do... By the way, does this look like another form that we graphed in, maybe?
Yeah.
The first is standard, and then it turns it into vertex form? No. Let's do this one. So use your step sheet as a model. Is 25 a good C or a bad C? That's a bad C. Even though it's a perfect square, it's still a bad C, right? We don't want the bad C, so we move it. Now I want to set it up because I'm going to put my good C on both sides. 2. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is. So you're right, Brady. That's what goes in my blanks. No, because when you square it, it's going to be positive anyway. Now what? Okay.
I got X. I don't do that.
Okay, you got what?
I got X1, and then I got 1 for C, and then parentheses X minus 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So like, how am I supposed to write that? I'm gonna write X minus 1 equals 1.
You had to move. Remember, you got that 25 that you moved over there, so it's going to be negative 25 plus 1.
Yeah, that's what I got, but how am I supposed to break that down into the square root thing?
You got to find the biggest perfect square. 4, 9, 16, 25 that you can divide negative 24 by.
I get that. How am I supposed to write the equation that like the
just like this?
Over there, the island, you know.
Is that, yeah, you do.
So that's how it's got to be written. So I just add or do whatever on the other side of the equal.
Yes, the same that you do on the left, you have to do on the right.
And then that's going to be the equals. And then I just put x1 minus 1 squared and then equals whatever
Yep.
the c was on this side. With that.
Yep, with the new C. The old C and the new C together.
That don't make no sense. Excuse me.
You just said with the C. I moved the 25. Right? See, in the beginning I had the 25 there. So I moved it over. What I found here, I added it over here too. So negative 25 and 1 is negative 24.
So I always add this.
Always add it, yes.
All right.
Always add it. Now solve it. What do you do? What do you do to solve it? Square root. So now I have x minus 1, and somebody said a minute ago it's going to be an I, because I have the negative, right? What perfect square, huh?
We still gotta do that?
That'll always come up.
Oh my God.
Never goes away. What perfect square can you divide 24 by?
6.
Perfect square. Got to be from the list. 4 and 6. Square root of 4 is 2. So I've got plus or minus 2i square root of 6. And move the 1 over? Yes, no, maybe so. Y'all got to talk to me. Yeah. What do you think about completing the square? It's hard? And I want you to see if you can tell what's different about this one. Absolutely. So I need to get rid of that, right? Divide. Divide everything by 2. You can't have a number in front when you complete the square.
So in front of what?
Oh, I'm sorry. In front of the x squared. Good C, bad C. What is it?
-12.
Is it good or bad?
Oh, no.
Bad. We can tell it's bad right off because 7's not even a perfect square, right? So let's move it. Remember to save some room on both sides. So now I need to find the good C. Dun, 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 dun. What's the good C?
4.
4. Because if you take the middle number, cut it in half and square it, yes, it's always b over 2 squared. 4 and 4. Yeah. The 4, you do, to find a good C, you take b. B is your number that's always hooked in front of the x. You divide it by 2, and then you square it. So half of 4 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. How does the left side factor?
X plus 4 squared.
Nah, x plus what? 2
My bad.
squared equals whenever, after you put the good C in there, you take the square root of the first and the square root of the last with the first sign in the middle. I told you, I got you. Now what?
You gotta do square root.
Square root. I can't tell if y'all aren't answering me because you don't understand or because it's so easy you're bored. How can it be both? You don't know and it's so easy you're bored? You can't take the square root in 3, so you take the I out since it's negative. Don't forget the plus or minus and move the 2. That's as hard as these are going to get right now.
Would it be wrong if the I was on my
No.
side?
You thought it was Walmart and you're not giving us any problem?